Hello everybody, VG Time back again with another deck profile. Sorry if I sound a little bit weird. It's early in the morning for me, and I just wanted to get this out to you as soon as possible. This is my Champa Deck profile. This is a very budget-friendly deck profile, and it was also friendly if you happen to have to play in a Unison Warrior only format. Now, this right here, if you know me, you've been a watcher of my channel for a while, you'll understand why I like this pretty fast. As a leader, I think the Beerus is actually a better leader, but I really like the Champa and the U6 engine a little bit more than the U7 engine. So let's get into it. The Champa starts out at 5 life. Normally that would be somewhat dangerous, but because he's always 15 on the front side, it creates a situation where in order for your opponent leader to hit, they have to usually use a card, or they have to have one of those leaders that awaken extremely fast. So he's easy to defend as you trade 1-for-1 with your opponent, which is something you have no issue doing with the deck. Has the activate main that allows you to switch to rest mode. When you do so, you draw a card, and then if you don't have any battle cards in play, you get to play a U6 from your hand at a cost of 2 or less into play. So not only do you get cards without having to give your opponent cards, again, a key thing in this game, you also get to progress your board state without using energy. Another key thing about this game. Then the awaken condition, kind of rough, 2 or less life. You draw 3, you untap 1, you flip them over. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm not in a hurry to awaken in this deck. The draw 3 might be relevant, but honestly, the front side is almost better than the back side. On the back side, he's 20k. So again, your opponent has to spend resources in order to attack it. But it has an auto on attack to do what the activate main does. So on the back side, you're actually giving your opponent cards. Not a big fan of it. But what's cool is that at least he's 20. So in order for your opponent to get out of it, they either have to spend 2 cards or a super combo. If you super combo, it's most likely going to go through. And then it has auto once per turn, spirit boost one that says that when one of your U6 battle cards attacks and KOs an opponent's battle card, you could do that spirit boost one to stand it back up again. Pretty strong when you want to make pressure plays and things like that. It's going to take a little bit. I'm going to try to be as fast as I can, but there's a lot of new cards. So if you like deep explanations and things like that, give the video a thumbs up. If you want to see more deck profiles, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to keep them coming as I make them. The Nameless Planet. This is the field card that goes with the leader. It goes with this leader as well as with the Beerus leader. This is another checkbox for me. I like having something that gives additional value that's always on the table to either the leader or to the deck strategy itself. This card does both of those things. So it has Barrier, cost 1. It does not come out automatically when you play the leader, but it's pretty easy to get out the deck. I will run 2 because I don't want to life it. But yeah, Barrier, field, auto once per turn. If one of your battle cards attacks and KOs an opponent's battle card, at the end of the battle, or no, at the end of the turn, you get to put the card that was KO'd underneath this, but it's once per turn. Auto, when your opponent attacks, you may switch this to rest mode and redirect the attack to one of your battle cards in rest mode. So that's going to be very important for the way in which the whole engine works. And then activate main, if you have 5 of your opponent's battle cards underneath this, you win the game. So as of now, there isn't a way to turbo that effect. So assuming you go first, you're going to have to wait until at least turn 6 for that to happen. If you go second, you can get it as early as turn 5. but you're not really relying upon this. If it happens, great. This also puts pressure on your opponent for the long game. Cool. So it creates inevitability. And also, it's a standing negate. So as long as you can keep a guy out on the table in rest mode, if they swing, you can always just redirect it to that guy. So it's a standing negate every single turn. So run 6 unisons. They all do the same thing for the most part. So they're both 1-costed green unisons that have Empower 3. Empower is a new mechanic that says it carry over that many markers from the previous unison that it replaces. So in the case of Vados, if she comes into play, maybe 3 or more markers, my bad, she makes your opponent discard a card. Whis makes them KO a battle card. They both have the same +1, which is to play the field from the deck. Battle cards. 4 copies of Referee introducing the fighters. So it has an activate main where you can sack this and send it to the drop area. And it has the ability to either play this from the deck, which is fine, but that's not what you're really using it for. Use it for the second ability, which is allows you to look at your opponent's hand, choose one of their battle cards with a cost 3 or less, and put it into play. You can only do that if they don't have battle cards in play. So what happens sometimes with this engine is that once you get a card or 2 underneath here, your opponent starts being really timid about what battle cards they play. And so you need to be able to force the battle cards out their hand. You can also do stuff like kill the battle card they have in play this, activate it, and get like a super combo out their hand or another valuable, utility piece, and then KO it. 2 copies of Magetta to Battle Universe 7. So the leader has the ability to play 2 or less Universe 6. So Magetta, when he comes into play, draws a card. That's why he kind of is in the deck. He's 15k during your turn. And most of these guys have the same ability. It says that they can attack battle cards without barrier in active mode. So that's kind of cool. I really wish it didn't have that without barrier restriction, but it kind of makes sense because it will auto roll a bunch of decks if it could just attack anything, even if it has barrier while it's in active mode. Prime examples like Agents of Destruction. So that's the restriction on it to prevent things like that from happening. All these guys, until you get to the 4 drops in the U6, also have the ability that when they're KO'd, you can pay green to play a U6 battle card with 1 cost higher. So I'm not going to repeat that effect throughout the rest of this. Just know that, if they get KO'd, you can pay green to play a U6 battle card 1 cost higher. Now there's 2 chains in the deck. They're not really chains since like any 2 could play any 3 and any 3 could play any 4. But I kind of look at them as chains. So we have the Kaba line right here, which I'm going to go over right now. So the 2-costed Kaba has the ability to swing, take a life, restand, draw a card, and he becomes 15k. He can also attack the battle cards in active mode without barrier. And basically you get 2 15k swings off this guy. So he's more so the aggression. This guy right here is a critical 20k attacker that you could swing and KO one of your opponent's battle cards as an auto, but it's a once per turn auto. He works really well with the backside of the leader. So when he swings and KOs the battle card just off of swinging, you could Spirit Boost 1, restand him, and now your opponent has to deal with multiple crit swings. So this is one of the few cards I like actually swinging at my opponent. While this and him, you swing out their opponent's battle cards. So we also have the Frost Chain, which is a little bit bigger. So we have the 2-cost Frost that says It's a 10k during your turn and can attack, battle cards without barrier in active mode. Then it has this really cool permanent while it's in rest mode. If your opponent doesn't control battle cards, their leader cannot attack your leader. So that creates one of two situations. Either they have to get rid of them by attacking their leader into this guy, in which case you trigger the ability to go up to either a Cabo or a 3-cost Frost, or your opponent's going to have to play a battle card. And if they play a battle card, you're fine with it because it's most likely going to either lead to the death of the Frost anyway, because you're going to redirect attacks, or they're going to leave it there, just attack with their leader, it comes back to your turn, and you attack whatever they played. Now, 3-cost Frost, when it comes into play, rips a card out your opponent's hand. It's a barrier blocker. Yeah, that's about all there is to it. You can evolve the Frost on top of any Frost for 2, so that comes up as well. But 15k barrier blocker that you get for very little cost are always good. You could also, due to the fact that he is a blocker and you have this fill spell, you could basically negate two attacks. You can negate the weaker attack with this Frost, then use the fill spell to redirect a larger attack to him, have him die, go up the chain. So our first 4-drop we're going to talk about right here is the 4-drop Frost. This guy right here is kind of a house. He has triple attack. He can evolve for 3. It might come up. I haven't had it come up yet, but he could evolve for 3. He has an auto once per turn that if his attack is not negated at the end of the battle in which he attacked a battle card, KO that battle card, then choose a card from your opponent's hand and discard it. So what I like about this ability is that it gets around barrier. It is a harken back to the set 1, I believe, Frost, that had that same type of ability where it attacks a battle card and it KOs it at the end of battle. Does the same thing here, except for if they do negate the attack, he has triple attack, he just restand swinging again. And unless they are willing to negate it 2 more times, it's just going to happen. This also allows you to trade up, which is what you really want to be doing with him. He can also attack battle cards that don't have barrier in active mode. 2 copies of hit. So hit is the other 4-drop we play. So he has his own way of being played. It's kind of janky. It's kind of wonky. I don't love it. So I'm going, until I get a little bit more clarification on how all the rulings work with it. He also doesn't work with the Kaba's effect, because the Kaba's effect is an auto that happens before you even get to the combo step. But I just need further clarifications on how his effect exactly works. So the main way I play him is by having a 3-drop die and play him. While he's in rest mode, your opponent, if they want to attack, has to pitch 2 cards. If they don't, you negate the attack and they can't attack for the rest of the turn. So he's sort of like a U6 screen version of Baby Hatch. So our super combo choice, 4 copies of Vegeta. Basically, I wanted to have more hand control. You could run while also not losing the ability to draw. So you could run things like Android 18. You could run pure draw super combos like Paragus or Great Saiyaman. There was also a time I was flirting around with running Botama and Magetta, the red U6 one, because on there requires your leader to be Universe 6. And as such, you could technically start using it on turn 1 because it requires you to be at 5 or less life. So that was another thought in my mind. But I'm going with this to have additional hand control and ability to draw a card. So, Frieza, charismatic villain. We're running Unison, so we're running Frieza. Simple as that. New card alert. Realm of the Gods, Champa Destroys. Card right here is pretty decent. Basically, it has the ability to emulate 2 cards that are better than it individually, but because of its utility, you're kind of okay with having a lesser version of both cards all in one. So on your opponent's turn, it is a worse version of Cell's Earth Destroying Kamehameha. And the reason being is that your opponent gets to choose the card to discard, unlike Cell, which is random. During your turn, it is a slightly better, sometimes slightly worse version of Father-Son Kamehameha. So because this is Activate Battle, that's what makes it a slightly worse version. But because it does give power, it helps to get your battle cards over your opponent's battle cards. So we're not going to be too mad about that. Next, we're going to go to our negate package. 2 copies of Dormant, 2 copies of Clones. Ultimate, Heroines, but I just decided to break out the old Heroines because it's also budget. So if you're a new player and you were looking for a SCR to play, this is probably about as budget as you're going to get besides Goku Oob. And this is definitely way better than Goku Oob. So this is the whole deck. Take a moment out to check it out. Give it a try yourself. If you have any suggestions for the deck, leave it down below. But this is the first draft. I'm going to be enhancing it over time, giving you updates either via YouTube Shorts or Instagram. And I'll catch you later on. This is VG Time signing out.